Bone-chilling facts you wish you never knew, Part 9. You feel like falling when sleeping because your heart rate drops nearly to zero, and your brain sends an electric shock throughout your body to make sure that you are still alive. It's actually pretty easy to create false memories. Your mind can make up something that never happened or didn't happen how you remember. At any moment, a nearby star could become a gamma-ray burster, and a jet of radiation could hit Earth and vaporize us immediately, and it's impossible to see it coming.
Top 5 ghosts caught on camera. When you see it. A mother and 2 daughters are eating when the oldest daughter becomes disturbed and frightened by something unseen in the room. The mother remains calm, questioning her daughter, but receives no answer. The younger daughter looks back and doesn't see anything, but then takes a second look and also becomes terrified. Both girls react in pure terror.
What?
I'm scared. It's okay.
I just turned off the lights, that's all. What was that? What are you doing? Oh, what, Nani? Look at me. What are you scared of? The fish? Oh, the fish died.
What?
Turn around, turn around, turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around, look at me. What's the matter?
The video uploader Angel Louise says that both girls claim to have seen a ghost in the other room even though nothing strange was visible to their mother or captured on video.
Scary Statues Caught Moving Part 1. Now this man was in church when he caught this. Did it just move? Now some churches are known to come up with deceiving ways to make their statues move in order to get more visitors coming to their church. So do you think it was an animatronic? Check this one out though. Yeah, very creepy. So do you think these are real signs from God? Paranormal experts and video experts studied this video and concluded that there was no editing done. I'm scared. Like this video if you want a part 2.
In 1989, a theme park in New Mexico closed its doors forever after a mass disappearance of visitors occurred within its walls. The park was called Liminal Land. Logging onto visitliminalland.net, we're shown images that are both familiar and bone-chilling. An eerie sense of dread washes over you the deeper you dig into this mystery and its uncanny images. The website even has text that says to lose yourself in liminal land, something that I'm not sure is safe to do. A password-protected section of the website leads us to an unsettling image of Moloch, a deity associated in biblical passages with child sacrifice, making this theme park's closure and disappearances much more sinister. Whatever happened at Liminal Land is still developing, and it seems we'll know the truth about what happened there as the mystery unfolds. I do question myself, though, as the website asks us, where were you when it happened? Follow this channel for more strange stories.
Scariest Facts You Didn't Know, Part 48. Wes Craven got the idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street from a real story, published in the LA Times, of a boy who suffered terrible nightmares and actually ended up dying in the middle of one. As Craven said, he told his parents he was afraid that if he slept, the thing chasing him would get him. So he tried to stay awake for days at a time. When he finally fell asleep, his parents thought this crisis was over. Then they heard screams in the middle of the night. By the time they got to him, he was dead. He died in the middle of a nightmare. Scariest Facts You Didn't Know, Part 1. The Colombian serial killer Pedro Alonso Lopez, who is known as the Monster of the Andes, raped and murdered over 300 girls from Ecuador, Peru, and Colombia. However, after he was caught and imprisoned for 18 years, he was put in a psychiatric hospital. There, he was reviewed, declared to be sane, and was set free, in spite of his blatant avowal that he fully intends to kill again. Since he was released in 1998, nobody knows where he is or what he's doing. He is supposed to be 74 years old at present, and he is known for being the most prolific killer ever.
What if this man was murdered for inventing a car that ran on water? Inventor Stanley Allen Mayer claimed he had invented a water fuel cell for use on cars, in theory eliminating the need for gasoline and providing a clean and free energy source for automobiles. He demonstrated his device on an Ohio news station using a dune buggy fitted with his invention, stating that only 22 gallons of water would be required to travel from Los Angeles to New York. On March 20th, 1998, while at a dinner meeting with Belgian investors, along with his brother, Mayer allegedly leapt up after taking a sip from his drink, running out of the restaurant screaming, "They poisoned me!" grasping at his throat before collapsing on the ground and dying in the parking lot. Only a week later, the car and the fuel cell were allegedly stolen from Mayer's garage. Officially, his death was ruled as a brain aneurysm. But were more sinister forces at work here? Follow this channel for more.
This is the mysterious body snatching case of Brittany and Tiffany Wilson. Viewer discretion is advised. Brittany and Tiffany were popular socialites and daughter to Andrew Wilson, CEO of Wilson Cruise Liners. On April 24th, 2004, something disastrous would happen. The twins would hop off the surgery table looking like frickin' Shrek. On April 28th, the two would show up at a resort for a fashion event. Something was off about the two. Close friends noticed that their features had grown larger overnight. They were 6 more inches tall and were busting out of their velour tracksuits. It was reported that Brittany and Tiffany Wilson were doing things that they had never done before, like breakdancing, and forgetting the lyrics to world-renowned song 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. On the day of the fashion show, crowdgoers distinctly noticed that there were 2 sets of Wilson sisters. Later that day, it was revealed that Warren Vandergild planned to kidnap the two to use the ransom money in order to save his bankruptcy. It was alleged that he was MC Hammer broke. During this revelation, FBI revealed themselves and shot Vandergild. So what do you think happened to the twins during this fashionista excursion? Was it just a case of botched plastic surgery? Could this have been an alien body snatching? Did the FBI have something to do with it? Why were the Wilson sisters so frickin' pissed? Or was it something else?
She has to be one of the most evil women ever. This woman is called Dagmar Overby, and she took the lives of 25 young children. So Dagmar was actually Danish, and she was born in 1887. And as she was getting older, she ended up getting a few jobs as a caretaker, specifically for young children. Then in 1912, she ended up having her own baby, and then in 1915, she moved to Copenhagen. And this is where everything changed. Dagmar opened her own business where essentially she was acting as the middle person between women that wanted to adopt a baby and women that wanted to give up their children for adoption. Whenever women who couldn't take care of their children or just didn't want children showed up to Dagmar's house, she would take care of the babies until she was able to find a suitable home for them. Or at least that's what everyone thought. Instead of finding loving homes for these young babies, Dagmar would do quite the opposite. She would basically end up taking the lives of all these small children in a variety of different ways, including by strangling them, drowning, and of course even burning them in fires. And to conceal some of her crimes, she would hide the ashes inside of her fireplace and her oven, as well as bury the bodies. Then finally things changed when a young woman named Caroline Agason showed up. And this is not her, this is just for reference. Caroline had recently placed an ad in the classifieds looking for a family to adopt her baby. Dagmar ended up seeing this, and so she reached out to Caroline. Both of the women came to an agreement, and Caroline gave her newborn baby to Dagmar, along with some money in order to cover her services. The very next day, Caroline changed her mind and decided that she did want her baby, so she went back to Dagmar. Dagmar didn't have the baby anymore, she had gotten rid of it by then. but all she told Caroline was that she couldn't remember the family's name or their address of where the baby had gone to live. This made Caroline extremely suspicious, so she decided to go to the police. Police took the matter quite seriously and they went to Dagmar's home. They went into her apartment and started searching every single corner of it. And shockingly, they ended up finding small pieces of human bones inside of her oven. Her bedroom also apparently had a ton of baby clothing. After she was arrested, she ended up confessing to taking the lives of 16 children, but unfortunately, she was only found guilty of 9 of those. In 1921, she was found guilty and then sentenced to death row. However, because there was a lot of opposition against that sort of punishment at the time, her sentence was changed to a life sentence instead. And if you guys want more Crime Creepy content, check out my YouTube. The link is in the bio.
Number 9. Otzi the Iceman. Otzi was dug up somewhere between Italy and Austria. Can someone tell these people to stop digging up shit? Because the 7 men who dug him up died in gruesome ways. Unexplained car accidents, fires, heart attacks, you name it, they did it. Many believe that Otzi was murdered. He's one of the oldest European mummies ever to be dug up. They took him and they kept him in a museum. This is the actual specimen of Otzi. Bro even has tattoos. Anyone who has come in contact with Otzi has always recorded bad things happening to them. The longer you spend with him, the worse things get. Join me as we go to number 1.
Nasty fast food facts you didn't want to know. There's most likely other people's poop in your fast food drinks. Scientists tested samples from Burger King, McDonald's, and KFC and discovered that most of the drinks had traces of fecal coli in them. That's poop particles. Although regulation says that your drink should have 0% of poop, samples from different KFCs and Burger Kings had significant amounts. That poses a serious threat to diners. Fountain machines were tested too, and they had about 11% of E. coli. Some restaurants rarely clean their ice machines, and some restaurant workers that handle your ice don't wash their hands. Hope you have fun drinking poop.
Wait, oh my god, so zombies are literally real and you can become one. There's a syndrome called walking corpse syndrome. It's a neuropsychiatric disorder in which a person believes they are dead or missing a soul and their brain acts like it. A man was diagnosed after a fatal motorcycle crash. He survived, but he didn't think he did. Since the conditions are so rare, it's very difficult to pinpoint the causes and any potential cures. So if anyone becomes a zombie, very slim chance you can return back to normal. What would you do?
It's a bad thing to become an enemy of your house gnome. It's no easy task to get rid of a spiteful Tomta. These gnomes were curiously discovered among some neglected Christmas items in an old tobacco shop in Stockholm, Sweden around 1960. It is believed that these 4 gnomes were caught by a witch in the 1700s named Svarte Mor Ronquist. The story goes that she caught one of them stealing from her, so she captured it and held it captive, but she didn't know that when you mess with one, you mess with them all. Lore states that if there's a gnome in your house, you do not want to end up taking its life, because if you do, there will be hell to pay. Almost magical little creatures, they are slight and swift, and masters at hiding. The mythology on gnomes spans the world, from Mexico all the way to Europe. And oddly enough, they all generally say the same thing. There are 3 types of duendes, and that you don't want to get on their bad side.
What to you looks wrong with this picture? Before we get into this picture, I'm just going to preface that the woman who took this, Eliza Sherman, she was not harmed, but this was possibly the riskiest photo that she may have ever taken. After repeatedly hearing her doorbell rung, she assumed that it was probably a prank, like kids or something who were in her apartment building. While this woman was texting her husband and describing what was happening, she sent this picture of what she thought was an empty hallway, saying that every time she opens the door, there's no one there. Except she was wrong. In the dark at the end of that hallway was not a kid playing a prank. It was a man who had been ringing her bell. It's actually her husband who caught this, and he ends up calling it out. They call police, and they take the photo and they digitally enhance it. But even with a clearer visual, whoever this was, they do not know. He could have been someone who lived in the apartment building. He could have been someone who broke into the apartment building.
If you're wondering how much human skin goes for on the black market, it's $10 per square inch. The average human body has up to 2,800 square inches of skin. If you were to sell an entire human body on the black market, that would get you about $28,000.